Forgotten what today's episode's all about. It's a chat with this fellow who's made a business by remembering things. Now, what's his name again?
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's favourite marketing show. Oh, I'm a funny guy, aren't I? Hey, I'm Timbo Reid, by the way. Much more importantly, you are a motivated business owner ready to crank out some great marketing. And that is what we do around here, and well done to you for choosing to tune in to Australia's number one marketing podcast. Lovingly brought to you, by the way, by the very good people at Key Person of Influence, the world's leading business accelerator program. You can grab a copy of their free Amazon bestseller over at keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. And whilst I'm giving away free books, you can also go to audibletrial.com/SBBM and grab a free audio book of your choice from 180,000 different titles. Got to love that. Hey, big show today. I have a chat, as you would have gathered up front, with a world-leading memory expert who's made a business out of it and is doing some very interesting marketing. His name is Tansel Ali. See, I do remember it. I have got a crook memory. I don't know about you, but I finally get there. We actually do a bit of a role play and he shows me how to remember people's names. I help a listener generate more referrals, and I've got a very interesting marketing quote from Mrs. Fields. You know, of Mrs. Fields cookies. Love those cookies. Not as good as the famous Amos ones, but still very good. As per usual, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Join the Small Business Big Marketing community and have your marketing questions answered by other motivated business owners, including Timbo, over at crankmymarketing.com.
Let's kick things off with a question from listener Kathy Kowaleski. She says, Timbo, I'm the owner of a Dream Doors franchise, the home of amazing kitchen facelifts. That's weird. Dream Doors, and they do amazing kitchen facelifts. There's a bit of a kind of inconsistency there, but we'll go with it. That is not her question. Her question was not about the name of her franchise. She says, my question is, as my customers buy a kitchen makeover over from me, it's not likely they will be repeat customers directly for at least 15 years because I get their kitchen needs sorted. How do I keep engaging with my clients once they've purchased a kitchen to remind them to recommend me to friends and family? Good question, Kath. Don't mind if I call you Kath, do you? At least I remembered your name. Here's some ways, Kath. Number one, offer to come back every 6 months for, say, 2 years to check that everything's okay with the kitchen. Stay top of mind, and during that time, it gives you an opportunity to maybe ask, hey, love our kitchens? Know anyone else who would also love our kitchens? That's a really nice offer in itself anyway. I think it's quite shareable. It'll get people talking. Number two, just go and listen to episode 236 with Steve Sims of Bluefish, if you haven't already, Kath. He shares what I believe to be one of the world's best referral marketing ideas. Simple, cheap, effective. Ticks all the boxes. Idea number three, Kath, have them share their new kitchen across social media there and then. It doesn't help in the long term, but I imagine once you've finished with them, they are pretty excited to see what they've got and get them to share it on social media. And I've had a look at your website, and I think it could be a lot more helpful, if you don't mind me saying. Currently, it's a bit of a brochure-based website, and there's not much shareable content there. So I think you want to create content for not only your customers to share, but for people who just generally visit it to share. You know, I bang on a lot about helpful content. So here's the thing. You need an editorial mission to decide what content you put on that website, and I reckon the editorial mission is simple cleaning tips for kitchen lovers to keep their pride and joy squeaky clean, right? So this is all about creating a blog on your website specifically that will allow you to share tips for keeping your kitchen squeaky clean, because kitchens get dirty, right? And you could have articles like 10 awesome dishwasher tips, how to clean that greasy range hood, the simple kitchen spring clean. It goes on and on and on, right? And I think you could create some real momentum, very helpful marketing, very shareable, that people would really appreciate. So I've kind of gone beyond the referral marketing for the next 15 years idea, although Steve Sims's episode will sort you out on that. But hopefully there's a bit of gold there, Kath. Thanks for your question. Listeners, if you want to send me a question, head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. You hit the contact button, and there's a box there that you can write a question to me. Or you can join the Small Business Big Marketing Forum over at crankmymarketing.com. Support for this show comes from Key Person of Influence, the world's leading business accelerator program for those wanting to be an industry thought leader. Their 5-step KPI method teaches you how to nail your pitch, publish content, productize your offer, raise your profile, and partner with performers. I asked co-founder Glenn Carlson, what's with the P fetish?
Oh, yeah, I suppose it is a bit of a fetish, isn't it? But I guess we're just a bit obsessed. You know, fetishes, obsessions, we're just business geeks, mate. We believe there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur, and we're all in. We are just all in. And if we find best practices and ideas as a result of what's working for our clients all around the world, we just want to bring it to people. And so far, the best framework that we've found to be able to do that, to really accelerate that entrepreneurial journey in the shortest time, is the 5 Ps. So, mate, get in on the fetish.
KPI, where fetishes rule. For a free hard or audio copy of their Amazon bestseller, visit keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. Oh, and a little warning. Don't read it before bed. You just won't sleep. Yep, got to get that book, team. It is an absolute ripper. Now, let's get stuck into today's guest. How's this? 3-time memory champion. Australian memory champion is Tansel Ali, celebrity memory coach, best-selling author, the only person in the world to memorise 2 Yellow Pages phone books in 24 days. Goodness me, we talk about that, how he did it, why he did it. Why is a big one. Tansel is a world-renowned memory expert, basically. He's been on TV, he coaches executives, celebrities, leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, everything. Fascinating interview as to how he got to become that, because he wasn't always a memory coach. He was in a much more boring job. All right? You can hit him up, by the way, on Twitter, at Tansel, Tansel, Ali, Ali.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Hey, Tansel, any idea where my car keys are?
Good question. I reckon you've left them in your pocket.
Let me just check. Actually, I shouldn't have even asked you that, because you're not a mind reader. You're a memory coach, correct?
Well, some people say I can be a mind reader, but
right.
No, I'm not.
Okay, now, man, we've got so much to cover. I do want to talk to you about how you've turned this whole memory thing into a business and how you've gone about marketing it. But what were you doing before this whole memory thing came about?
Yeah, I was just working in IT, in support. So doing network support, administration, doing websites, and it was something I always wanted to get into ever since I was 10 years old.
What, memory or IT?
In IT, yeah. So I'd play around with computers and break them and fix them up and format them and do all these sort of things, and I absolutely loved it.
So you're a geek?
I was a geek, but I studied IT in university, and I realised I wasn't a geek, and I was failing a lot of things, programming and maths. I was horrible, and the geeks were absolutely acing them. But eventually, I obtained my degree after failing many times, and then worked in IT, and then I realised, hang on, it's not what it's cracked up to be. I have to do something else.
You might want to give me some insights there. I'm speaking at an IT conference in Perth in 2 days' time. So
IT is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Hey, so you're in IT. You're kind of like, it's something you always wanted to do, not what you always cracked up to be. So how did becoming this memory guru start?
Well, I was working in IT, and I've worked for about 12 years, but on the side I've always been interested in developing myself, and because I always thought I've just got a really bad memory, essentially, and I haven't got much in me as a person to actually offer, and that's why IT felt comfortable, I guess, for me.
Wow. Can you just tell me a little bit more about that? So lack of self-confidence. IT was a wonderful place to hide because you could be in back rooms tinkering away and not having to speak to anyone. Was that you?
Yeah, it was a very introverted role, essentially. But I never really lacked confidence. It was more about, I just accepted the fact I had a bad memory and I wasn't going to amount to much, but I just enjoy computers. That's about it. And that's essentially how it all began. A friend of mine came up to me and said he can remember all these random objects and digits. I said, no, you can't do that. It's impossible. And then when I tested him out, he actually got everything right. And I thought, whoa, this is something quite extraordinary. You must be gifted. He said, no, I'm not gifted. Just do these techniques. And once I was able to do it, it just opened up a whole new world of thinking, wow, I just remembered all these items as well. And then from that point, I started doing research and realizing that, yes, we can improve not just our memory, but ourselves.
Were you just going back to that time, Tansel, were you in a dark space, a low space where you kind of just didn't see a way out and were resigned to that's how life's going to be?
Yeah, look, interesting question because I was at a dark place actually. In 2002, I started and I had a major operation where I was hospitalised, and they chopped me up from the start of the chest all the way down to stomach, and I had 31 staples. And they said, look, if you weren't in hospital, you would have been dead if you didn't have the operation. And during that time,
what was it?
I've got Crohn's disease,
right.
So it's an inflammatory bowel disease, and it flared up really bad. So I've got that for the rest of my life, and I managed that, which is why I've set my own business up so I can work my own hours.
So you stare death in the face?
Oh, all the time. We wave at each other all the time.
Wow. And so, okay, so you got to that place, you have the operation, you come out of it, and how long after that did you have this epiphany, or did this mate come to you and say, hey, I can sort your memory out?
Yeah, it was essentially during that time. He didn't say he'd sort out the memory. He just said, check out this trick. So
right. He's trying to put a smile on your dial.
Yeah. Well, he was visiting me in hospital and all that sort of stuff. So great friend. And I was in hospital trying to memorise playing cards and numbers. So I was keeping me refocused from away from the pain, really. So I was doing that, and then the following year, not too long after, my mother died from motor neurone disease. So I had all these issues going on at home, and breaking up with the girlfriend, all that sort of stuff. So I went through a bit of dramas during that period, but I got through it with memory strategies, really.
And was memory for you, I'm just trying to figure out whether you back engineered this, or was your lack of your inability to remember things seriously impinging on your life, or, and I'm being cynical here, or have you gone, well, I'm now the memory coach guy and that's my business, so I will kind of tell the story that I really had a bad memory when I was, 10 years ago. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I never really thought of it that way. It was more so that, wow, I can do something quite amazing that I never thought I'd be able to do. Let's get this message out to people. Because I thought, wow, if someone with a shocking memory like me could do it, anyone else can. And the fact that I had Crohn's disease, and I was actually being bullied at work, so 9 to 5 was real. It was real drama for me. I thought I can make something out of this and start coaching and training and doing all those things that people do for their business. So,
mate, I love that. That's so interesting because so many of us are going down a path, right? And that's that may be the path that we think we're going to do, but someone's essentially showing you a trick. You've gone, that's unreal. I want the rest of the world to find out about it. I'm going to make a living from it.
Yeah, and that was the tough part because, the memory stuff, teaching part was easy, but making a living, running a business from it was really difficult. Now, I've been in a family business for many, many years, and, I've grown up in a family-owned business, but when you take it on your own, it's still very, very different. So I had to learn the ropes and technology, which, new technologies always come in, and when you're not working in IT for a while, they can creep up on you as well. So a lot of things I've had to learn along the way and work longer hours trying to set up the business than actually work in it.
Yeah, right. So the idea of how long into kind of becoming good at these memory tricks did you decide to start the business and say goodbye to, I'm guessing the family business was the IT business?
No, the family business was a milk bar.
Now
convenience store.
I'm confused. Now I'm confused. So, okay, so you kind of grew up in the back of a milk bar, lucky kid.
Yeah, we'd eat everything.
Yeah. Favourite lolly?
Oh, goodness. We just eat them all.
False teeth.
False teeth were great. Oh, look, I've always loved the bananas. That was great.
Yeah, I must say I do. I used to enjoy sculpting things out of the banana lollies. But that's a discussion for another time, Tansel. So you grew up in the family business out the back of the milk bar. You've gone to IT, but the idea of actually starting a business around memory just proved difficult, yeah?
It was extremely difficult because the thing is people don't realise that they can improve their memory. They think, hang on, you're just a gifted person.
Gotcha.
So,
you're trying to sell something people don't think they need.
Exactly.
Or could get.
Exactly. So trying to promote memory is really difficult, especially in Australia where it's a highly conservative market, where they say,
Yeah.
memory,
Wanker.
Yeah, exactly. And they see you as, look at this nerd or magician, things like that. So that's how you're actually seen.
Did you realise that pretty early on?
Not really. No.
You're going, geez, this is hard getting clients. Didn't quite know why.
Yeah, I'm thinking, why is it not working? What's going on? I mean, I've had to sort of do a lot of things on the side as, build websites for people and all that just to keep cash flow happening. But I didn't realise how difficult it would be to try and get work from it.
Okay, so clearly I'm assuming it's working now. What was the tipping point that you've gone, oh, hang on, if I do that, I will get clients?
Yeah, I guess it was more of a natural progression. I count myself lucky as well. I won the Australian Memory Championships, and
how many times? Stop being humble.
3 times, but it took me 6 years, though. This is the thing. So in 6 years, I've had to really work on the business, and I found that by developing my brand, it would help. So, Memory Championships, winning that, obviously, a lot of media, even before I won, the media got a hold and said, hang on, these guys memorize stuff? They're freaks. So they got us in a lot of media, and then people take notice. And then from there, you start talking to people about, hang on, it's not, I'm just an everyday guy, you can do it too. And once people start realizing they could do it, that's when you start, making the sales or getting more talks and then
that's clearly got to be your message, which is you can do it too, because you're either going to be seen as a freak and a magician or as a coach that can help anyone be better. And that's clearly what your kind of positioning is.
It sort of is. Even that's a bit cheesy now. The
I love a bit of cheese.
Motivational speakers, putting their arms up in the air and say, you can do it. I'm not really much into that stuff anymore.
Right.
I like to actually show people that they can do it. So the way I set myself up is actually educate people on the technique. So, for example, if they do meet someone or they're really bad with names, I tell them how to remember a name or how they can remember basic things just so they can understand how the process works, and it's just not a mystery. I don't have to pay money in order to get the knowledge. I can just get it now, and then if that's how it works, then I've actually inspired them to take the next step.
So Tansel, I want to do a bit of a role play shortly, because you're looking at a bloke right now that what was your name?
Shane.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do a bit of a role play shortly, but I do want to finish that marketing discussion, given that this is the Small Business Big Marketing Show. And looking at what you've done and how you've gone about marketing, getting clients, it looks to me as though you've built. You're very clear about building your personal brand. In fact, we had this discussion before I hit record, which was, what business do I say you're from? And you kind of hesitantly said Yellow Elephant Memory, but quickly came up saying that, I really operate under my personal brand, Tansel Ali. Yeah? So you've worked hard at building your personal brand. And am I right in saying that media coverage has gone a long way to doing that?
It has, and I also did obviously a little PR stunt for Yellow Pages by memorising it as well. So that went quite viral and got me a bit of work and a bit more media as well.
Well, okay, how do you memorise the Yellow Pages is my big question.
Oh, look, memorizing's the easy bit, but what I learned from it was, you have to be self-disciplined, you have to be motivated, you have to have sacrifice, all these things that actually a good business should have as well to achieve stuff. So memorizing yellow pages didn't actually mean I had a good memory. I knew I could memorize it, but it's more about what did I learn from it. And I learned that I was really bad at self-discipline.
Yeah, right.
And creating habits, all that. But after that, I realized that, wow, in order to actually get something done, you need to work hard at it. And a lot of parallels are drawn between that and a good business as well.
I think it's so funny. On the last episode, I just shared the fact with my listeners that I'm reading Keith Richards' biography at the moment, and I don't know. I've got this. I did have this view of Keith Richards as being this larrikin rock star who just kind of lived the life, and he did. But in that period of his life of about 16 to 26. He was just this obsessive student of the blues and of the guitar. And when all his mates were going out partying, and he did a bit of partying, first and foremost, it was about being a student. And I think we can learn a lot from that.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be a guitarist in a metal band, before all this memory stuff started. And
name of the band?
It was called Hexen, but we'd play.
Nice. Always good.
It's a very metal name, but we'd play all around, Melbourne, and it was great back in the day. And the guys were only 15, 16. I was 18, so I was the only one driving.
Yeah, right.
But we went, pretty well. But I was no nerd or anything like that. And to get into something like memory is a complete shift because my bass player used to say, "Tansel, you still haven't memorized the guitar notes. We need to memorize these chords and notes and all that." I just couldn't do it at all.
So building personal brand, you've got your story is media candy, I would call it. The Today's Tonight's, the current affairs programs, the Today shows, they're going to want to do stories on you. I get that. But you come up, well, tell me about who and how did you come up with this stunt to memorise the yellow pages and what did it involve?
Well, that was the PR company that approached me, and they said, "Look, we need to promote Yellow Pages advertising. Can you memorise a phone book?" And I thought, which idiot would want to memorise a phone book? And so I almost emailed back saying, "No, I don't want to do it." Then I realised that, I did a bit of calculation, and I could memorise it in a month. So I, deleted the email and wrote back, "Yep, I'll do it. I'm the idiot." So I happened to do it. But the important thing out of this is the ability to tell stories. And anyone could be an amazing brand, no matter how boring the story is. It's just how you communicate that across to people. And that's the key. And that's what memory is all about, is that communication. That's what we do in memory competitions. Whoever memorises the most wins. But in our case, whoever makes the best stories wins, and story is memorization. That's how we actually do it.
Okay, so I think these two questions are then combined, because I don't expect you to kind of go into great detail about how you memorise the yellow pages, but the story's involved, and I talk a lot on this show about the power of story. It's just a wonderful way to get your message across. So can you give us an example of what you're talking about?
Sure. When I memorised a phone book, I had to get the business name and the telephone number, right? So these things are pretty much abstract. They don't mean anything to us, right? So when we try and repeat in our heads, it's just abstract. We forget them. But in order to remember, use memory techniques, we have to create a story. So the story might be, let's say we need to remember Bob's Plumbing and the number 1234, for example, right? Picture a guy.
That's easy. I'm not going to forget that one.
It's just an example for the numbers.
Okay.
I don't want to explain the number system process. But what happens with Bob's Plumbing is visualize a guy constantly bobbing up and down, right? Yeah. He's always bobbing up and down, plumbing away. You can see his butt crack. Right, so you've got this image of Bob's Plumbing now, right? So you've created that visual. Now with the number, there's particular systems. I was using a more advanced systems, but the system I'll show you now is called a number shape system. So one could look like a candle, right? Mm-hmm. 2 could look like a swan, 3 could look like a bird flying sideways, and 4 could be like a little boat, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, what we need to do is connect those together with Bob's Plumbing. And what I'd do is I'd get the candle and light Bob's butt crack with it, right? So there's a bit of hair there, so it burns his hairs from his butt crack, right? And then suddenly it starts to burn the swan, which is number 2, right? The swan's burning up, and a bird comes flying in, swooping under it and grabbing it over and then throwing it onto a boat. Now, that's a silly story, right?
Ridiculous.
But that's what we remember. And in fact, that's how I memorize a phone book, by making silly stories that stand out. Now, and in marketing especially as well, things that stand out are things that are really good or really bad. And this is how memory works as well. We have to make up stories that connect and engage.
This is interesting. I kind of get the yellow pages thing, but then there's a lot of other questions about how then do you remember page after page after page after page of all those different stories in the right order. But I think that's for another time. What you've touched on, which I think is really important to our listeners, is the fact that we want people to remember our businesses. We want people to remember why they need us and what benefits that we have for them. And story is clearly just so important there.
Yeah, the important thing about business is, what story are you telling your clients about you? You know, what are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve for your clients? So, for example, I do tell the story about me, my achievement, but the most important thing for me is what can my clients achieve from my services? You know, are they going to get just a better memory, or are they going to reduce stress? Are they going to manage their time better? Are they going to perform better under mental extreme conditions? Are they going to be better athletes? So there's all these things that come into play, and it's all about the individual or the organisation, how you're going to help them. Now, if you can build that story up in that person's mind on how you can better achieve that, then you've got greater engagement with them, and that's really powerful.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so yesterday I spoke at an event. Someone came up to me afterwards, introduced themselves, gave me their business card. We had a good chat. She went away. I saw her on my way out, forgot her name. Welcome to my world. What could I have done better besides look at her business card?
Okay, the first thing is, remembering a name is obviously so important.
Yeah.
But it creates a bridge between that person and their lives. So if this person, for example, name was Sandra, right, that you met, you can visualize her hair maybe made out of sand, or sand coming out of her hair, right? Or when you shake her hand, your hand's all sandy, right? That sand part is a trigger to the rest of her name. So next time you see her walking around, think, hang on, why was there sand in her hair? And that will trigger the fact that her name's Sandra, right? So take my name, for example, Tansel. It's very abstract, right? But if people meet me and they think of tinsel, tonsil, or scream out, hey, you Tansel, right? And make up some sort of a story, right? That story then engages the person with that name, and that's quite powerful. And the same could be done with a business as well. It's not just about having the name. What does that business do? Creates that story, and people need to know that story, not just the name of the business, but the story of the business.
Love it. Story. Yep, you're ringing my bell, Tansel. It's a wonderful strategy. So, mate, business is going well for you now, I'm guessing. More clients than you could throw a stick at?
I've actually got less clients, believe it or not. I've just been working on more and more, articles and products and information, just to get more out there to people, because I think
you want to leverage your time, less one-on-one and more kind of leverageable products, yeah?
Yeah, and I'm working on more social enterprise as well. Like, how can we get this out to, the rest of the world, or how could people learn languages without having, in a month, without having to come to me for individualized coaching and things like that. Because this stuff really needs to get out. It's not about me, actually. It's about the actual content and the skills that really need to be out there. And I'm training other trainers as well, other people, to be essentially my competitors, but to get this information out there, because it's just so important.
What's driving that? I mean, we've talked about previously, you looked death in the face, you got bullied at work, you had poor memory yourself. Is there anything that keeps you wanting to because you talk about you need to get this message out to the world. Where's that fire come from?
Yeah, it's frustration because I haven't been taught these methods at school. I failed bits and pieces of university, which would have saved me at least 3 years if I knew them. And I know a lot of other people who I've been coaching and training for the past 13 years. They just struggle so much, not just for their studies or anything like that, but just building a career or thinking entrepreneurially or just getting ahead in life. And these skills not only give them the mindset, but the ability to really get ahead. And that's what I found why learning about memory, I actually learned about, how to improve my life. So and it's been a life-changing experience. So that's where it's actually led me to. And if I can get this out to other people so they can improve their life, wow, that's really, quite impactful. And that's how I want to sort of leave this life, by having impacted, as many people as I can.
Good on you, mate. You're on a mission. Tansel Ali, memory coach extraordinaire, social entrepreneur, soon to be. Good luck with it all, buddy, and thank you for sharing. How can people, I know you've got a couple of books, how can people get hold of those books, and what is your Twitter handle?
TanselAli.com. They can get on my site and read all the articles and get the books from there. And also Twitter is just Tansel Ali. Easy as that.
Good on you, buddy. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Tim. Much appreciated. Cheers.
See you, Shane.
Cheers.
How'd you go with that? Did you enjoy it? Interesting fellow. Amazing what people build businesses from. Tansel has built one out of passion, clearly. Here's my top 3 learnings from my chat with him, brought to you by the very good folk at Key Person of Influence program. Get over to keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo and grab that free Amazon bestseller. It's a ripper. Learning number 1, continue to focus on telling your story. Right? Now, we've spoken a lot about story on the show. If you want to know 8 stories to tell in your business, then you got to get Valerie Khoo's Power Stories book. I've had Valerie on my show previously. I'll put a link in the show notes to episode 257 where Valerie goes into those 8 stories, and I'll put a link to how you can buy her book, get her book potentially for free if it's on Audible. If it's not, you can still buy it from her website. It's a ripper. 8 stories every business must tell. Number 2, create a stunt. I like that. Yeah, Tansel's stunt was to memorise the yellow pages. But what stunt could you run in your business that gets you a bit of PR, a bit of publicity, a bit of coverage? Good question to ask. If you do one, can you let me know? I'll promote it. Learning number 3, is there something in your world that you are exceptional at or passionate enough about to go and build a business around? Great question. You might be an accountant, but you are completely nutso passionate about teaching people to ride motocross bikes. Strange example, but you know what I mean? Maybe it's time to stop being an accountant and follow your dreams. Good question to ask at least, even if you don't end up doing it. We've got to keep challenging ourselves. Tansel does. Tansel's taken on the world. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit him up on Twitter at Tansel Ali. And I would love to hear what your thoughts are around that little fireside chat with him. So head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and look for episode 257. Just key that number into the search box and tell me what you thought. Debbie Fields once said, "I've never felt like I was in the cookie business. I've always been in a feel-good feeling business. My job is to sell joy. My job is to sell happiness. My job is to sell an experience."
Get on Timbo's mailing list over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
That is almost the end of episode 257 of the Small Business Big Marketing Show, team. I hope you enjoyed it. Plenty of marketing gold coming up in the coming weeks, months, maybe even years. Grab your free copy, hard or audio copy, by the way, of KPI's Amazon bestseller over at keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo, and a free audio book while you're at it over at audibletrial.com/SBBM. Hey, if you do use either of my sponsors and have great success, let me know. I would love to hear your stories. Tim at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Send me an email. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, join the inner circle, the forum, over at crankmymarketing.com. There is lots of solid marketing discussion, lots of great ideas being thrown around there. And if you've got a conference coming up, I'd love to speak at it. timreid.com.au. Until next week, I am Timbo Reid. Always have been, always will be. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.